Hello and welcome to Watch Your Story. I have a wonderful guest today. His name is Shane Jacobs. Shane, thank you for being here.
Thanks so much. Appreciate you having me.
I'm glad you're here. I have to tell you so much about him. Shane is you're not only the host, I think you're the originator, aren't you, of the Horsemanship Journey?
I am.
Horsemanship Journey is a television show, and it's for anyone who needs to be motivated, that wants to be motivated, that wants to have a better life, right?
Yeah.
But in addition to that, he does all kinds of other things. You own a feed company for people with horses, is that right?
We do. We have a little horse feed company here in Las Vegas, Nevada.
What's it called?
Jacob Livestock.
Jacob Livestock. So people can go there and buy feed for their horses,
They can.
right?
That's right.
And in addition to that, you're an auctioneer.
I am an auctioneer. In 94, 95, we had Vegas Valley Horse Auction is where we began, and we don't sell livestock or animals anymore, but we do sell all kinds of stuff.
Wow, that's amazing. And I saw that you were a farrier, and I had to ask what that was. I bet a lot of other people don't understand what that is either. Could you tell us that?
I can. A farrier is used to be known as a blacksmith. Today it's a horseshoe or a farrier, which is basically we manage horses' feet, the protection of the everything that a horse needs to be able to do his job because they spend their time on their feet. So it's the practice of managing the growth and wear of the horse's hoof, which includes shoeing for different types of events and for therapy and for medical purposes, but mainly for protection, to protect that foot from wear for the things that we do when we ride horses.
That's amazing. I would think that the average person might not think about that. They might not think that you put that much care into a horse's foot.
The amount of care that goes into a horse from the tip of its ears to the bottom of its feet is tremendous, and you don't think about it a lot of times.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So what about the pursuit of excellence? I know that's very big with you. So should everybody pursue excellence?
Well, I have an ideal that I strive for, which is to, just to pursue excellence. If you look at the day, all right, so I try, like this is the ideal, to look at the day and say, this is a gift that I have this opportunity. How good can I do today? And as long as I wake up that morning, I have that chance, right? Mm-hmm. So if I look at it, to me, it's like I try to look at it as a challenge, It's like me against life. How good can I get? And every day, and so I might fall short, right? But if I look at it through that lens, which I don't get it done every day exactly how I want, but if I attempt to look at life through that lens, I think it helps propel me to
Wouldn't it be great if everybody did that? If we all got up in the morning and said, how can I be excellent today?
I agree. We don't, and even those that are trying don't, but a lot of people don't. I mean, for a lot of reasons, it's just not there a lot of times.
Yeah, I know I'm a very positive person. Probably I'm one of the most positive people I know. But I don't get up in the morning and say, how can I be excellent today? But maybe I will from now on. That's such a good piece of advice for me to think about making my life better.
It's a good thought.
Yeah, it really is a good thought. So tell us about the Horsemanship Journey. How did it start? What is it, and what's different about it?
I'll tell you about the Horsemanship Journey. I've been fortunate and blessed enough in my life to be able to have spent over 25, coming up on 30 years in the horse industry. Through, you mentioned horseshoeing as an auctioneer. I'm going to make you an auctioneer here in a minute.
We're going to see.
As boarding and training and riding and sales and showing horses and just being out there in it in the numerous things for basically it's been my entire, I have had one other short job in my adult life. So I've been involved in this, and what we came to realize is that my wife and I started the Horsemanship Journey, and because we came to realize that, believe it or not, it was kind of a shocker, that the core, the foundation of horsemanship comes from personal integrity, comes from our inside of us. A lot of times, and you can apply this, if you don't have a horse, you can apply this to anything, right? You can say, well, I'm going to apply it to horses. This horse won't do what I want. Oh, I didn't do too good today in my competition. Oh, this, oh, that, oh, the other, right? And so we're always looking outside, right? But it's an inside-out approach, and even more so with horses because it's like a relationship, right? It's a total relationship. Everything I do and what comes from my integrity of character. When I say that, what I mean is if I have integrity of character, I have determined my values and I live consistent with those values, right? And so if I do that, then I'm able to have a better relationship with my horses, and of course with people, it's all the same. So basically we looked at it and we said, in horsemanship or in this horse industry, we see a lack of inside out. We see everything focus on what the horse needs to do, what the lessons need to be, what is the maneuvers, what's the training, what's everything, but what's lacking is here. And they feel that. We feel it, and the horses feel it, and the people around us feel it. So that's the core of the horsemanship journey. We have 30 to 50% of each episode focused on inside out. Basically, how can we improve our own being in order to improve our horsemanship? And the way that we do that is we have, through guests, the best experts in human behavior that we find on the planet, which, by the way, includes you. We appreciate you being on a guest.
It was a pleasure to be there.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and it's a great job, and that's why so much that, your book and your contribution to our show is exactly what we're all about.
Well, I want people to believe that they are more than enough. That's the name of my book, You Are More Than Enough, and I want people to believe that. My whole life has been about helping people believe in themselves, and I see that with you. That's what's really exciting about you. I've enjoyed getting to know you because of your positive way that you are.
I want to comment on that. If you'd let me, I heard another guest on your show, Cheryl Green, and she said that she believes that basically, if I'm not going to get the quote right, but I'll get it close. She said that she believes that all of negative behavior in life is a result of a poor self-image. Okay, and I agree with that. I can't find any place where that's not true yet. And so, your book, You Are More Than Enough, and your message and your affirmations are oh so important and just so much also a part of our message.
Thank you. I agree with Cheryl. I believe that negativity comes from the fact that we don't feel good enough about ourselves. And so we have a negative outlook towards things. We're afraid that we can't stand up, we can't compete, we can't be everything that we want to be, that life's not going to help us. So I totally agree with her on that. Tell me about the auctions and about being a farrier. These things are fascinating to me.
I'll tell you a little bit about auctions. The auction industry, or auctions in general, were, they've been around since about, they believe since 500 BC when they were trading slaves. Okay?
Wow.
So the auction method of selling is ancient. Here's a fun fact about auctions. After the Revolutionary War, they had surpluses of material and they auctioned them off, and only the colonels were allowed to actually be the auction caller or the auctioneer. And so to this day, we call auctioneers colonels.
Oh, wow.
And I can make you an auctioneer. I'm going to.
Oh, you can, huh?
Yep.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see.
Here we go.
Uh-oh.
Okay, now repeat after me. All right, how many dollars?
All right, how many dollars?
I'm bid one.
I'm bid one.
Now two, now would you bid two?
Now would you bid two?
Now two, now would you bid two?
Now two, now would you bid two?
I have two here, now three.
I have two here, now three.
You're an auctioneer.
Oh, good. All right.
Now all you have to do is speed that up just a little bit and kind of sing it. Okay? So it's like this. All right, how many dollars here? I'm gonna bid one here, now two, and I'm gonna bid $2 bid here, now three, now I'm gonna bid three's here, and I'm gonna bid four's here, and I'm gonna bid five. I'm five here, now six, now I'm gonna bid now $6 here, now seven, now I'm gonna bid seven, now I'm gonna bid eight's here, now nine, eight here, now nine, I have eight here, now nine, last call, eight here, now nine, and I have Sold it your way, $8.
You're amazing. How fun.
They are fun, and they have a lot of emotion, and just being in the middle of it, it's energetic, and it's just a fun way to sell.
Yeah, I love going to auctions. In fact, I get so excited when I go to auctions, I end up buying a bunch of stuff I don't need.
Hey, that'll happen.
Because you got to win.
We
you
like
know?
people like you.
You just absolutely have to win. So, what about other aspects of horses? Their role in the world, their value, their importance?
Well, horses play a pretty important role in the world still. All right, if we look back on history, just look back to basically horses were the engines that built our country. Teams of mules and horses and the equines were the things that they were our total transportation. They were our dozers. They were our blades. They were our power. They were the engines that built dams and roadways and help industry. They plowed, they made our food. They were a tremendous part, and then the numbers were high. Today, they have a different role, but I believe that they still have an important role. They say there's somewhere between 7 and 8 million horses still in the United States, and that, I don't know if that includes the wild or the feral horses, but domestic horses. And their role today is a lot of us, it's hard not to like a horse,
Yes,
you know?
yes.
And so something about the human self is drawn to horses. In the West, we're kind of drawn to the Western lifestyle. A lot of us wanted to be cowboys. I've heard, Judy, that it's because, I don't know if this is true, but the horse has such a big heart and it has so much energy surrounding it that it draws us to it. I don't know if that's true. If that's true, we might want to have an elephant. I don't know. But horses, they're one of God's amazing creations.
Mm-hmm.
And if we look at some of the things they can do besides just bring us joy, they've helped people with loss in life of anything. There's what's called hippotherapy, which is therapy for people with PTSD, all kinds of physical disabilities. Something about the movement and the being around and the feeling and the emotion and the movement of people that you have to hold to be able to be on a horse that can't even sit benefit tremendously. And when you see it, you know it's real, and it changes you as you watch them change. And so if it can change people with PTSD, if it can help our soldiers, if it can help people with physical and mental disabilities, think what it can do for us who aren't considered to have those disabilities, right? So they're a gift. Today I really look at it as a luxury item, and I think we're just so blessed to be able to have the abundance that we have in this country, and horses are part of that.
Yeah, I love horses. I think they're absolutely fabulous. I grew up in South Texas, so we had horses, and my brother was a bull rider back in the old days, and that always makes me wonder if they are sane. You know, those fellows that get on those bulls, that's a bit crazy. Talk about some of the guests that you've had on the Horsemanship Journey.
I'd like to. Yeah, that's great. I appreciate that question, Judy. We like to feature people that have made amazing transformations and try to really make it actionable. Like, what can I take out of this? You know, and we believe that stories, other people's stories. It's like your show here. You know, we hope that we bring value. I hope today that we can give some amount of value to somebody somewhere and make it worthwhile.
Well, I'm sure you do. You give value to me every time I'm around you.
Thank you so much. So here's a couple of examples. There's a gentleman by the name of Andre Norman. He was one of our first guests in segment 3. Now, when I talk about segment 3, that's your segment. That's the motivation, inspiration, and the mindset. Andre Norman had a career when he began his life, and his career was crime, and he was very good. His goal was to become the leader of the gangs in the state prison system. And he was doing very well at
Interesting goal.
He was being a very well at accomplishing that. He'd been sentenced to over 100 years in state prison, and he was in the number 1 or 2 slot if he were to do one more bad deed, which involved taking the lives of some fellow inmates. The day before as he was planning the murder, a series of things that had happened to him. Basically, I'm going to shorten the story. He didn't do it. And he made a decision to change. And 8 years later, he started a process that took him 8 years to get out. He went to Harvard. And today, he spends his life helping people not get where he got.
Wow.
And that is the kind of transformation. And we say that, okay, if Andre Norman can do that, what can I do?
Exactly.
What can you do? What can you do?
Exactly, exactly. Now, is he out of the prison system today, or is he still in there making a positive influence on other inmates?
He's actually in the prison system, but in as a free man teaching courses to inmates that will come out into the world on how to stay out.
Isn't that amazing? That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
And that's just one. One of every month we have a new amazing guest with an amazing message.
Well, if I want to watch the Horsemanship Journey, how do I do that?
TheHorsemanshipJourney.com. And it's not, it's helpful if you like horses and you're interested in horses, but you don't have to be. The Horsemanship Journeys for everyone.
It is for everyone. And I found it fascinating that you had this segment in your show, because when you're talking about horses and feed and hooves and auctioning and whatever, where did this come from that you decided, okay, we've got to make this? I know you're saying people need this from the inside out, but where did you get the idea? What happened that made you say, oh, I need to help other people have this segment that they can listen to and learn from and make their lives better?
I think, Judy, that if we think about it in life, whether you have a horse or not, I think that if we look at it, I don't know that it is our uniqueness, right? That we have a different angle towards horsemanship that Marty and I have tried to expose to the world and continue to do so. But if you take a look at, if I came to you and I said, well, I think it's probably a good idea if you approached it this way and that you started kind of working on yourself. And you might accept that and you might not, but you'd probably say, oh, that might be a pretty good idea, right? But to really intentionally take it, internalize that and say, to be able to say that, to me it's like a form of personal responsibility is what it is, okay? What I mean by that is am I responsible for what's going on for me completely? Because if I am, then my question has to be, in every circumstance and situation, what can I do? So that's kind of just what we're doing. I mean, we don't have a miracle. We just have a little bit different angle on the greatness, the achievement, the power, the personal power that you can have, and the increased high function of your horse relationship and your horsemanship and your whole life, because once that we take that responsibility and then act on it, it changes things, and that's the first part. But the second part is then once we have that, then what we can do is, we can't do it until, but once we do and we begin to act on that, then we can help other people, right? We can help all the relationships in our life. We can improve our horse relationship, and we can improve all the relationships around us. And that's the key. Let me just tell you one thing about that, about relationships. I recently was listening to a podcast, a guy named Joe Navarro. He was a retired undercover FBI agent, and he wrote a book. And he said something in his book and in that podcast that struck a chord with me. And he said that we're not who we think we are. We're really not even who we want to believe that we think that we can be. What we are is the sum total of our influence on other people. Now, if you think about that, and really, that is a totally profound statement. It really struck a chord with me because I find that to be totally true in life. That what really matters is the influence that I'm going to have with the relationships in my life, whatever they are. And the way that I can have a positive impact on that, it's going to start right here.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that gives me a lot to think about. I'm almost speechless. I'm kind of like running that over in my head, thinking, that's right. Because we try so, I don't know if we try so hard, but some of us try to influence people in such a positive way, and sometimes I just want to wring their neck when they don't, when they're not moving forward, or they're not thinking more positive, or when they're complaining all the time, or when they don't realize how blessed they are. I lived in Africa for a long time, and when I look at people in America complaining about their lifestyle and that they don't have everything they want and they can't get a brand new car or whatever, I compare it to those people that I worked with in Africa, and I think they would come to work without a car. They would have to take 3 different combis to get to work, and then still walk a mile, and they'd walk in the door happy with a smile on their face. So it has to do totally with mindset, doesn't it?
It does. I've thought about what you're talking about right now, and that is why don't we attack life? Why don't we carpe diem and seize the day every morning, right? Like I said, that's an ideal. I mean, I try to. I don't. Like I said, I don't get it. But why don't people in general as a whole, right? Why do some horse owners just, buy a bale of hay and feed their horse, and they get a little out of it, and it's okay? And I've thought about. I think there's a lot of reasons to not go the extra mile, to not excel. I think that. Really, though, you know what I think the basic core is? I think we're just not thinking about it. I don't really think that we're intentional about life because it's so easy just to coast and get by. Earl Nightingale, I don't know, in the 60s or something, when The Strangest Secret came out, you know what he said in The Strangest Secret? He said, in today's world, that I can't do his voice.
He had a great voice, didn't he?
He had such a great voice. But he said, in today's world, that it's, you don't really have to do much to get by. And that was in the 60s, and I think it's easier now.
Yeah.
Just to survive, to have basic necessities and whatever. I don't think that we live life on purpose, and intentional. I think there's a lot of reasons, and I think the rest of them come from our self-image, but I think that we need to begin with, first of all, recognizing there's so much possible. I mean, what's available in this infinite planet it's just staggering. And then once you can see that and then say, I want to live on purpose to do something about it, at least if you have that desire to begin with, then you can start to move forward.
Exactly. And Earl Nightingale and Napoleon Hill and those people who were really the founders of this whole motivational movement, and they believed that, and I studied them. My father was a salesman in the 1950s and early 60s, and of course he studied all of that in the sales profession, and I was so thankful that he introduced me to that world, because I've learned so much. And when we talk about purpose, Napoleon Hill was a real believer in definiteness of purpose. How once you know what your purpose is in life, then everything else gets a lot easier.
Yeah.
A lot easier.
That's an extremely important point. It is your purpose. I mean, why are you here? And a lot of us haven't really defined that.
Exactly.
Or wrote a personal constitution or a personal mission statement. And when I say that kind of goes to integrity of character, because we have to define ourselves and define our values and what they are before we really can proceed. Now, you don't have to, because you just got through describing a minute ago some of those people that might not have those processes done. And you know what? Whatever they do is what they do. If they wake up and look in the mirror at the end of the day or at the end of their life, if they look in the mirror and say, I am thrilled with me, then that's great.
Right.
But I don't know, I can't do that unless I'm really have to be giving it my all to be able to get there. And I think most of us do if we really think about it. The good news is it almost takes the same amount of effort you know, we spend a lot of time doing effort. It's not that much harder. It's just a little shift of our thoughts.
Yes, yes. It's such a pleasure to be around you. I think we should have you on the show every week because then we could just be positive all the time. Would you please tell our viewers, you know, how they can get in touch with you, or how they can buy feed from the feed store, or how they can get you to come and be an auctioneer for one of their events, and let them know, other than just, well, of course we want to tell them the website again as well.
Yeah. Anywhere in the world, the Horsemanshipjourney.com. We're proud of our website. In addition to the show, we have personal training from some of the top trainers in the world. So if you're into horses, you want to make sure and go to the Horsemanshipjourney.com. If you're in Southern Nevada, Las Vegas, Boulder City, anywhere in Southern Nevada, for all your horse feed needs, Jacob Livestock or JacobLivestock.com. And also in Nevada, if you have a specific custom business or farm, or need to do a liquidation or a benefit auction, we do a lot of benefit auctions. We're happy to help you with that. VegasValleyAuctions.com.
Thank you. Thank you for being here today. That's Shane Jacob, and thank you for being here with us today. And I hope you'll be back with us for our next episode of What's Your Story?
Yeah.